Keep your guns hidden, don't around, full kits, 180 rounds minimum for main rifle, another 50 for sidearm per person. What is clear from this record is that the White House had more than enough warning to warrant stopping any plan for an ellipse rally, and certainly for stopping any march to the Capitol.
During today's January 6th hearing, the public learned that the White House definitely had warning that violence would break out on January 6th, including days prior to the January 6th riots in the nation's capital. We also learned that members of the Secret Service absolutely knew there was a grave threat toward the nation's capital and toward lawmakers within the building on January 6th. And the only way we found out about that is after the House Select Committee investigating the riots of January 6th had to go around the fact that these Secret Service agents had deleted emails they had subpoenaed. So they had to find another way to obtain those emails. Luckily they did, and now we have a better sense of what the Secret Service knew prior to January 6th and on the day of January 6th. So members of Trump's Secret Service, again, they had deleted these emails after they had been subpoenaed. The committee had to go around the Secret Service in order to obtain them. And once the committee did finally obtain them and get a hold of this information, they found messages including what you're about to read. So here's a screenshot from what was presented during the hearing. These are Secret Service emails from December 26th of 2020. And as you can read, they write, they think they will have a large enough group to march into DC armed and will outnumber the police so they can't be stopped. Again, this is the Secret Service. They are very close to the president. Their whole job is to protect the president. It is clear that the White House knew about these threats and did nothing to stop what actually ended up transpiring on January 6th. Let's read a few more of those messages. Their plan, meaning the rioters' plan, again, these are emails from the Secret Service. Their plan is to literally kill people. Please, please take this tip seriously and investigate further. And in another message, they write, the Proud Boys have detailed their plans on multiple websites such as, and then they use a link to the Donald.win or win. Now, note the date of those emails, December 26th, 2020. As we all know, the riots took place on January 6th of 2021. And here's a little more about those emails and documents obtained by the January 6th committee.
The documents we obtained from the Secret Service make clear that the crowd outside the magnetometers was armed and the agents knew it. Take a look at what they were seeing and hearing on the ground. One report from the rally site at 7:58 a.m. said, some members of the crowd are wearing ballistic helmets, body armor, carrying radio equipment and military-grade backpacks. Agents also reported possible armed individuals, one with a Glock, one with a rifle. Over the next hour, agents reported possible man with a gun reported, confirmed pistol on hip located in a tree, and one detained at 14th and I Street Northwest. Individual had an assault rifle on his person.
So again, clear that the Secret Service knew on December 26th what was about to transpire on January 6th. On the day that the riots happened, prior to the riots breaking out, they knew about the armed individuals, they knew about their plans, and nothing was done by the White House to stop this from happening.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give a little tangential point here, but I think it's relevant. So we know a lot about what happened because a lot of it was on video, right? From not the Secret Service part, but the guys preparing for the assault, etc. And I believe Tony Face 2007 on YouTube is one of our members. You gotta be a member to win. And I'm gonna give him $100 here in a Blue Apron gift card because he made such a great point that I hadn't thought of. And we do that for our members every once in a while. He wrote, in the likes of Stone, the Oath Keepers, etc., expected the insurrection to succeed. So they wanted to be filmed and memorialized. If successful, they would have been proclaimed as the heroes of the revolution. So these knuckleheads taped themselves because they really thought, hey, look, we've got the guns stashed away. Donald Trump's gonna make us the militia. And then we can legally go get our guns and then storm the Capitol, presumably kill whoever you need to kill, right? And a lot of it is on tape. So then the Secret Service knows about it. That's amazing. Oh, by the way, Tony, you got to do rewards@tyt.com. Rewards@tyt.com to get it. And by the way, one of our members every week wins a $100 gift card from Blue Apron at the end of the week if you watch the live show. All right, but back to the Secret Service guys. So they know about this, but your job is to protect not just the president, but the Capitol. You gotta share that information. So that's why they're going around deleting everything, because they think they're in legal trouble. But Anna, as always, unfortunately, almost every story comes back to there's the real world and there's a Trump world. You can't cross the Trump world, doesn't want to hear any facts. So they'll think, oh, they were the heroes of the revolution, the Secret Service are the only true Americans, etc. So then, what are we really gonna do? Are we gonna go after the Secret Service guys that deleted evidence? You can't do that, that's against the law. And as always, we ask the question, are the powerful ever going to hold anyone powerful accountable?
The Secret Service deleted emails after being subpoenaed, so the members of Congress investigating this could look at those documents and do their investigation. That is illegal. I don't get, are these people still employed? Where are they?
No, look.
Why is that okay?
It's number one, the reason why, is it actually okay? Of course not. Is it in practice? Are they gonna let him get away with it?
Can we do that?
No, of course not.
If we're dealing with a criminal investigation, can we do that? Can we just delete documents that have been subpoenaed in the process of that criminal investigation?
Yeah, guys, and here's the distinction, right? And this is not a left-wing, right-wing.
No, I'll tell you the distinction. Sorry to interrupt you. The distinction is there are people in power who get to do whatever they want because they're above the law, and then there's the rest of us who suffer the consequences if we dare to do even a tiny percentage of what they engage in. That's the reality. That's all you need to know. Continue, Cenk.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was gonna say. But and so why the Secret Service though? Because they're not elected senators or president or anything like that. Because they are the protectors of the powerful. So for example, the most flagrant case of destroying evidence was done by the CIA. So they had the torture tapes, they burned the torture tapes brazenly. They had already gotten an order to preserve them. They're like, yeah, what are you gonna do about it, huh? And they just destroyed all the tapes because they were guilty. And you know how many of them were arrested? Zero, none. Held accountable, zero, none. Not only that, the person who authorized it later became the head of the CIA. She was promoted, okay? So that's how it works. If you're powerful or you protect the powerful, and also cops, by the way, you're above the law, right? But for the rest of us, it doesn't matter if you're left-wing or right-wing. If you're a regular person, I mean, look at the guys that did the rioting. They're all going to jail. You guys got no protection. They're gonna crush you, okay? But if you're powerful or you're their Praetorian Guard, you're above the law. You don't have to follow the same laws as us, and Congress proves it. And it doesn't matter which party. The Democrats will still protect the guilty that were cooperating with the Republicans. Why? Because in their mind, Democrat, Republican doesn't really matter. We're all elites.
Okay, so the obtained Secret Service emails also indicate that they knew about the possible threats against, the threats against Vice President Mike Pence, and the committee provided some evidence of that. I wanna go to that graphic. As you can see from the screenshot, Secret Service message from January 6th, so on the day of, the morning of, and in one message, a Secret Service agent writes, alert at 10:22 regarding the VP being a dead man walking if he doesn't do the right thing. So again, they were fully aware. And I think what's also telling is the lying that took place under oath by individuals close to Trump, including Jason Miller. Let's watch.
If I had seen something of that nature, I would have said we got to flag this for Secret Service or something of that nature.
But the Trump administration was aware of this type of violent rhetoric prior to January 6th. In fact, as we have seen, the Secret Service and other agencies knew of the prospect of violence well in advance of the president's speech at the Ellipse. Despite this, certain White House and Secret Service witnesses previously testified that they had received no intelligence about violence that could have potentially threatened any of the protectees on January 6th, including the vice president. Evidence strongly suggests that this testimony is not credible.
Correct, that testimony is not in fact credible. He lied under oath, but perjury is totally fine. perjury is totally fine, as long as you are a person in a position of power or close to individuals who happen to be powerful. I mean, you hear the right wing talk about the elite all day long, fearmonger about the elite. You guys are the elite. You guys cover up for criminality on your side all the time. I don't give a damn if the person engaging in criminality is a Democrat. They should be investigated, and if they lie under oath, they should suffer the consequences for that. But that's the thing. We live in a country where one side actually wants justice, and the other side will provide cover for the criminality on their side regardless of what's going on. They don't care.
To be slightly more here, there's three sides, right? There's the left wing that wants justice, there's the right wing who just wants to be told pretty little lies that make them feel better, and then there's the elites. They're not related to either one of us, okay? But you schmucks think they are. So in the MAGA world, they say, you got to make sure that we go after the elites and hold them accountable. That's why you cannot touch the former president. He's an elite. What? Logic not required. They're MAGA.
All right, so one final thing I'll mention about this, they're doing their best, and I think they're doing a good job in proving and showing evidence indicating that there was premeditation involved, that not only did Donald Trump know that this was gonna happen, but that he played a role in inciting what happened. So it's worth noting that the plan to march to the Capitol was already being discussed on January 4th. In fact, here's a text message between Kylie Kremer, who's the founder of Stop the Steal, to Mike Lindell. Again, this is on January 4th, 2 days prior to the riots taking place. She writes, POTUS is going to have us march there, the Capitol, but POTUS is going to just call for it unexpectedly. So who communicated to her that the president of the United States was going to, announce that they were gonna march to the Capitol? Like, it's clear that there was something being planned behind the scenes. There was premeditation involved, and that is the point that they're trying to make by providing this evidence that they've gathered through their investigation.
You know when something is planned when they say the president is going to say it unexpectedly. Well, you seem to expect it, so they planned it. And as always, it always comes back to yes, but is anybody going to be held accountable? I'll say one last quick note here about the hearings. As you watched the protesters looking to tear Nancy Pelosi apart and kill her, as well as Mike Pence. So they were bipartisan in that sense. They wanted to murder the Republican vice president and the Democratic Speaker of the House. Pelosi, and I criticize her probably more than anyone in media, including the right wing, was pretty strong under fire there, right? And she was trying to get a hold of the situation. She was calm. She was in charge. I was pleasantly surprised to see how strong she was on that day.
Right. They showed video of her behind the scenes. She was shockingly calm.
Yeah.
And in situations like that, to yield the best results, you have to be calm. You just do.
Yeah.
And she did a good job with that, I guess. So
yeah,
anyway.
I mean, look, we're the fairest show in America. You see us criticizing her all the time, but credit where credit is due. Way to be cool under fire. Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.